people. Good morning. Come on in and sit down, and hello to everyone who's joining us on YouTube Live. We are a full house. Who knew this many people were interested in hearing me talk about chickens? Come on in and sit down. My name is the Reverend Mandy Goheen. It is my honor to serve this congregation. My pronouns are she and her. This is a day of celebration because we're together. Look at this. Look at this day. Look outside at the beautiful sunshine. You are welcome here. You're welcome here if you're looking at the beautiful sunshine out your own window. We're so glad that you're here with us in this community today. Our opening words are by Starhawk from Dreaming in the Dark, Magic, Sex, and Politics. Community means strength. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of it from time to time. Catch a glimpse. Community. Somewhere there are people who we can speak to with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends. Someplace we can be free. In Unitarian Universalist churches all around our country, all around the world, in people's homes, we light a chalice to mark the beginning of our time together, the first part of the seal of our service. I invite you to join me for the chalice lighting you can find in your order of service. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. During Oktoberfest many years ago, a band came to the United States and was unable to secure the duck costumes they needed for their song, The Duck Dance. And hence was born the chicken dance. So I would ask all of you if you are comfortable, and this is totally up to you. Please don't feel like you have to, or in the middle if you feel like you need to quit, or in the middle if you need to feel like you need to start. Please rise in body or spirit for the chicken dance. And now, if that wasn't enough fun for you, I got to catch my breath. I invite anyone young at heart who wants to come a little closer or stay where you are to hear the story of Henny Penny. Once upon a time, Henny Penny, the little black hen, was underneath a big oak tree, pecking around the long grass for seeds to eat, when down from the tree dropped an acorn, plunk, and bounced off her head into the grass. "Oh, what was that?" said Henny Penny, flapping her wings. She looked up. She looked down, she looked all around, but she couldn't see anything anywhere. Oh, if it was an acorn, that's, but I can't see one. And she looked again, and she looked down and around, and oh dear, do you think a piece of the sky fell on my head? I must tell somebody. And she ran and ran and ran and along until she came to Cocky Locky. Cocky Locky, cock-a-doodle-doo, said Cocky Locky. What are you doing, Henny Penny? Where are you running off to? Oh, Cocky Locky, a piece of the sky fell, plink, on my head. I think the sky is falling. Well, are you sure it wasn't an acorn from the oak tree you're always hanging around? No, said Henny Penny. I couldn't see one anywhere, and it landed right on my head. Well, said Cocky Locky, that's not right. We must tell someone. Yes, we must tell the king. So Henny Penny and Cocky Locky flipped and flapped and flopped and flipped and flapped along and along and along until they met Ducky Lucky. Quack, where are you off to? Said Ducky Lucky. Oh, we're going to see the king, said Henny Penny. The sky is falling. A piece of it fell, punk, right on my head. Yes, said Cocky Locky, it's not right. Wow, said Ducky Lucky, that's amazing. Are you sure it wasn't an acorn from that tree you're always hanging around? No, said Henny Penny. A piece of the sky fell and hit me on the head. Plop. Oh, well, then I'd better come too, said Ducky Lucky. So Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Lucky and flipped and flapped along till they came to Goosey Lucy. Honk! Stop, said Goosey Lucy. Where are you off to? Oh, the sky is falling. Goosey Lucy, the sky is falling. A piece of it fell plunk right on my head, and it hurts, said Henny Penny. Yes, said Cocky Locky, it's not right. It's amazing, said Ducky Lucky. Are you sure it wasn't just an acorn from that oak tree that you always hang under? No, they all shouted together. A piece of it fell on my head, and oh, it hurts. Well, that's important, said Goosey Lucy. I'll come too to tell the king. So they flipped and they flapped all along, until they met Turkey Lurkey. Turkey Lurkey said, oh, where are you off to, gobble, gobble, gobble? The sky is falling, said Henny Penny. A piece of it fell on my head, and it hurts a lot. Oh, gobble, gobble, that's worrying, said Turkey Lurkey. Yes, it's not right, said Cocky Locky. It's amazing, said Ducky Lucky. It's very worrying, said Turkey Lurkey. I can come too. So along they went, along, and flapping and flipping until there, out of nowhere, was Foxy Loxy. Hungry, Mr. Fox. Ooh. My, said Foxy Loxy. Where are all you lovely birds off to today? Oh, Foxy Loxy, the sky is falling, said Henny Penny. A piece of it fell and bonked on my head, and it hurts. I see. Are you sure it wasn't an acorn from that oak tree I'm always watching you under? No. We're poultry. We know what's going on. Ducky Lucky and Goosey Lucy and Turkey Lurkey all said, it's very worrying. We're off to see the king, cock-a-doodle-doo, said Cocky Locky. I see the king, said the fox. Well, you better come with me. I know a quick way. So Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Lucky and Goosey Lucy and Turkey Lurkey ran after Mr. Fox along and up and down into the dark Foxy Loxy den. And I'm afraid that is the last they were ever seen. So the king never did find out that the sky was falling. But Foxy Loxy and Mrs. Fox and all the little foxes, they had a great dinner that night. So what does this story tell us? Nature's tough, but also stranger danger. There you go. I like it. Stranger danger. What about have you ever gotten in a group of people and like one person tells a story and it gets a little different and a little bigger and a little more amazing, and the next thing you know, you're someplace you're not sure you should be in the first place. Anxiety contagion, groupthink. So here's what I want you to do. First of all, chickens don't act like that. They don't have a king. Come on. Well, okay. Second of all, listen to your friends. They're looking out for you, right? Don't argue back if they think that you need to take a different turn. They love you. And maybe when you listen to your friends and you make good decisions together and you look into the actual scientific details of the situation, you're safe and you've made good choices and you don't end up in a dark fox den. I think we have a great opportunity in our Unitarian Universalist life to be part of the interdependent web of all things. And so foxes are important and chickens are important and all the things are important. But what's most important is we stop and think before we make silly mistakes. And sometimes when our friends are making silly mistakes, we can help them stop and think too. Thank you all. And now, if you're young and would like to go down to religious education or you're a teacher, I invite you to rise and we will sing the children's recessional. If we do not venture out is by Marian Harmony. It's a meditation. It's an adaptation from the original, but I invite you to relax and breathe in, and as you listen to the words, find a word that speaks to you and keep it. And after I'm done reading the poem, I'll ring the bell and we'll have a minute of silence. And then I'll ring it again, and Jennifer will play, and you'll be invited to come forward and light a candle of joy or concern. If we do not venture out, if on a starlit night with no moon brightly shimmering, we stay inside and do not venture out, the evening universe remains part of life we shall not know. If on a cloudy day, with the grayness infusing all and rain dancing rivers in the grasses, if we stay inside and do not venture out, the stormy, threatening energy of the universe remains part of a life we shall not know. If on a frosty morning, dread the chilling air before the sunrise, we stay inside and do not venture out, the awesome, cold, quiet, and stillness of the dawn universe remains a part of life we shall not know. If throughout these grace-given days of ours, surrounded as we are by green life and brown death and hot pink joy and cold gray, pain and miracles, always miracles, if we stay inside ourselves and do not venture out, then the fullness of the universe shall be known to us. And lock our heart, we shall never feel the rush of worship together. Our reading today is from the sacred text, National Public Radio. I know. Blog number 13.7, Cosmos and Culture. Commentary on Science and Society. Are you a religious naturalist without knowing it? I'm going to tell you about the author after I read it. Scientific inquiry has provisioned us with mind-blowing core narrative, the story of the cosmos and our place within it. The story of the cosmos and our place within it, where its coherence is a very recent achievement. We all know that's unfolding. Of the many names on offer, the universe story, the epic of evolution, my favorite is everybody's story. Since it conveys the foundational concept, this is a narrative about all of us. This accord is based on human discoveries, but not written by humans. And indeed, humans don't show up until the very last moments. Albeit our evolution is anticipated in all of its biological chapters and was made possible by the nucleosynthetic marvels called stars. And I probably said that a little wrong. A naturalist can be said to take nature very seriously, to adopt this account as its core narrative. This raises a question: what would it mean to be a religious naturalist? Are there ways to work with the narrative religiously? What is the interpretive and spiritual and moral potential of nature? Persons who couple with natural world to something else, we call it something else, are present with another set of questions. What is the relationship of this something else to the natural world? What is its agency, its presence? But the coupling also offers some answers. For example, the purpose and value of the natural world is usually attributed to something else, and is in God gives my life meaning. The alternate access of interpretation can be called neotheistic. Nature is all we know there is to be. It's the source. It is a mystery. It's dynamic. It generates an emergence, and it's a phenomenon, and it's increasingly complex. How might one find purpose and value in such a perspective? There are many responses, but in my own, to see purpose and validation in every biological trait, every adaptation, every hummingbird dipping into a flower with its exquisitive actions and habits. Traits are about something for something. They have been evaluated and selected in their ecological context. Therefore, the flourishing and continuation of life has a depth and intrinsic value and purpose. The spiritual entails inward responses to one's core narrative. And here, the menu is rich. But what about the moral and ethics, which entails the outward communal response to one's core narrative with nature? Here may argue that while nature may tell us how things are, it doesn't tell us how things ought to be or how we should behave. Moral precepts must come from without. So what's the difference between a religious naturalist and a naturalist? Both take nature seriously. Both adopt everybody's story as their own core narrative. And then, in the words of Loyal Rue, the religious naturalist also takes nature to heart. Taking something to heart means your heart can be broken. You can experience moral outrage when it is reversed and desecrated. The author of that piece, his name is Ursula Goodenough. Man, I love her name. I promise. So Ursula Goodenough is pretty amazing. We talked about women's history last month, but I'm going to bring somebody new in today. She got her degree from Harvard, her PhD in molecular biology in 1969. And she is a scientist who finds wonder and amazement in what and takes to heart nature. It's part of her value system, and she brings it into this realm of religious naturalism, which she's just the most beautiful, prolific writer in. And she comes from this brilliant family. Her brother won the Nobel Prize, oldest person to ever win the Nobel Prize. Can you imagine growing up with a name good enough and being that smart? Wouldn't you almost start out a little higher up on the, hey, I'm good enough, I might as well try it, I'm good enough. I've really loved her work. She's just so down to earth, and I love this like prophetic feminine voice coming from the 60s and competing and being relevant even today, although not well known, but maybe to you. You'll look her up. When I read her the first assignment in seminary, it was in an eco-theology class, a class about understanding religiously the environment and your connection to it. And one of the assignments in the class was to go outside twice a day. And I will tell you what, I go outside twice a day still. It changed my life. It really did. And sometimes we're not in a place where outside seems like so much fun. And so, but I still did it. We lived in this apartment, transitioning between moving here for a while, and it was, if you can imagine me in a yard as big as this, any of you who know me, I still went out twice a day. And what I discovered were these little lizards, annals. There were these little green lizards, and when the male lizard was feeling like he needed to find a girl, he would puff up and have this big strawberry puff come out of his chin. They were fascinating, and I watched them, and I took pictures of them on my houseplants. And one day, I walked out the door, and right in front of me was a turtle this big, a quarter-sized turtle. And I was like, how did this turtle get here? And so I stood and I thought, a bird dropped it. And I really only think that's the only way that little tiny turtle could have gotten on my back step. Maybe a bird found that maybe the porch was a good place to crunch him up, and I scared him. I don't know what happened, but the turtle lives at my house still. He is not this big around. He's about that big around. His name is Atlas. He's an Alabama map turtle. And when I was describing my relationship with Atlas the other day to someone, I said it wasn't very fruitful. Like, we don't talk that much or hang out. And some of my other pets I have more interaction with. And they said, how do you know he doesn't like you? Maybe he does. I don't even know if it's a boy. I like the name Atlas because he's a map turtle. I like a good inside joke. Speaking of inside, when pandemic came, I didn't come here very much. I worked in my bedroom a lot. And when I set up a table for Andre and I to pretend like we were going to work next to our bed, I was seeing this old chicken coop out the window. And I kept looking at that coop, and I thought, I'd probably be pretty good at raising chickens. And I was kind of started talking the family into it a little bit at a time as I perused chicken catalogs of different breeds that would be my friend or do different tricks. And so when the day came that I decided I was going to really buy chickens, I went out to the coop that was already there, and I sat in it because, whatever. Don't judge me. I needed to see if it was safe, and it wasn't. I was like, this is like a raccoon chicken horror story. I cannot have my chickens live here. So we built a coop, and it was really fun. But when I got my chickens, I was very farmy in my attitude. They're chickens. I'll get 10, maybe 3 or 5 will live. We'll have chickens for a couple years. It'll be fine. They turned 2 yesterday. Maybe not yesterday, but when I got them, there were these little puffs in this plastic box, and I was mesmerized by them, swirling and doing little chicken behaviors. And one of the things that are kind of cool about baby chicks is they might not know how to drink when you bring them home. And so as I watched, I noticed this one chick didn't drink yet. and I put her head down in the water, and she took a drink, and I had a mommy moment. I'll have to tell you, I got that chicken its first drink. Her name's Betty. She's wonderful. But I started connecting with these chickens, and it got me back in the backyard more often, and not just like standing on the porch looking at lizards or bugs or whatever I was doing. It got me really in to nature, and it had me back in that habit. Chickens get up at dawn and go to bed at dusk, right? So it added a new layer to my spiritual practice, which is looking at Lookout Mountain in the evening and seeing the different colors of light through the trees. And right now, the trees look like lungs, don't they? Like just there's sprouts when you look up through them. And I noticed something. This tree and I out back have had a love-hate relationship as well. It's going to fall down, and it makes me mad, and I know it's going to fall on the chickens. Just know it. And I was looking in that tree, and I noticed lots of woodpeckers, like an inordinate amount. Like, have I ever seen 6 red-headed woodpeckers at the same time? No. But I noticed, and then I noticed they were fighting over the tree, and I watched. If you would ask me what I'm watching, I would probably say woodpeckers right now, because that's kind of the show I'm on. So I'm watching these woodpeckers, and then I notice the one is staying in one spot, and he's run everyone else off. And then I notice yesterday it's a hole, and I say to my spouse, oh, it's a nest. Oh my gosh, we're going to have baby woodpeckers on the tree. It's going to be so amazing. And then I went like this, and I said, are female woodpeckers black? No, they're not. A starling had come. And I watched the starling dart past the woodpecker into that hole. And now I have a total soap opera unfolding in front of me. And new curiosity about woodpeckers and starlings. And I say, I can't, it's a starling. And my spouse says, well, you know, the only reason there's starlings here is people wanted all the Shakespearean birds in America. And in the 1890s, brought 100 starlings to Central Park in New York City. And there are 20 million now in the United States. Or 200 million, not 20, 200. I mean, starlings, yeah. And as I looked at that, you know, Foxy Loxy, chickens in the hole. I look at this starling and I'm like enraged, like, oh, I wanted to see baby woodpeckers. Come on now. But that's what life is like. And it's kind of like so I read more about it because I was curious about the scientific facts about the behavior and the adaptations of the birds. And so what I found out about woodpeckers, it's pretty interesting, is they are evolving to adapt themselves to the starlings. And how they're evolving is they're waiting them out. They're waiting till they're finished with the nests and then moving in. They're also going deeper into the woods. The starlings really like an urban area where they can cause a little devastation. They don't like the tall grass. They like the roadsides. They like the chicken feed I probably throw into the yard, I would assume. As that dusk came last night and it was time to put the chickens away, I noticed, again, the starling on a branch all puffed up. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like you yet or not. That remains to be seen. But it is curious to watch and think about where going outside led me. It led me, you know, it's 2022. It led me to pull my phone out of my pocket and look up starling behavior. It led me to be more curious about what was going on around me. It led me to engage in the world. And I do. It is in my heart. Why would I be that upset about a starling if that wasn't part of my heart, part of what was feeding me? Religious naturalism started emerging from the theological question of technology. Do we have too much technology in our lives? Are we depriving ourselves of nature? And in the book I have, For Human Good, and now I'm forgetting the name of the guy that wrote it, but It cost $1.67. It's a blue paperback that I've collected from another minister. You know, it's been handed down for a long time. So in 1967, this is the era around when Ursula is doing her scientific discoveries about algae and understanding how the world's unfolding. At the same time, this guy's saying, technology is a problem. Technology is going to separate us from nature. And if we are spiritually connected to nature, we're not calling for something above that's influencing it, but we understand how sacred it is. And it's in our heart. If our phone is in our face all the time, we're going to miss some really cool stuff. If we're watching the 12th episode of Game of Chickens, I don't know. Instead of going outside, we're going to miss out. And I think that as Unitarian Universalists, this is particularly important because of our sources. And one of our sources is the spiritual teaching of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Not make nature live in the harmony of us. Which brings us to how to speak chicken. When I first got the chickens, people gave me lots of clever gifts. I had a chicken a month cocktail calendar. It's very good. And my mother quite lovingly said, I saw really good reviews of this book, How to Speak Chicken. Here you go. And I was like, thank you. That's nice. So I took the book and I thought, I'm going to read this. My mom gave it to me, you know. And so I'm reading it, and it's talking about chicken behavior, which I find fascinating. And I get to this page where it says, and then if you make this sound, the chicken will do that. And I was like, wait a minute. I am not a chicken. Well, why would I adapt? I don't know. It just seemed very like you were getting the chickens to do stuff because you were balking at them a certain way. So I am also strangely curious about things, so I did go to the yard to balk in a certain way to the chickens, even though I didn't buy into it and I thought it was pretty weird. So I went out and I talked to the chickens the way I do, which is, hey girls, good morning. And they're like, they come up and they like to be around me. They don't like to be touched. They like me to talk to them. I'd never tried chicken language, and so I was singing in my regular voice to them, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and singing Mary Had a Little Lamb, and the chicken named after my Aunt Pat, who goes by Aunt Patsy, cocked her head and listened to me sing. And then I made this, bok, 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 you know, tried to make the noise. And she turned her head away from me, and she didn't think that I was interesting. She has a relationship with me that I sing people words to her. When animals and nature gets treated like people, we get into some trouble in religious naturalism and in our lives. I've always been the kind of person who had a dog that if it did something weird, I turned that into the trick, not necessarily taught the dog a trick. My dog will crawl on its belly across the floor for a carrot. I did not teach that. I encourage that behavior with treats. My chickens come to me when I go chick, 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 chick. My chickens come to me now when they get out of the yard and I call them in. Because our relationship's complicated. I want them to be free-range chickens. Being free-range chickens means they visit the neighbors. They jump the fence. And for a long time, we humans were so well trained in the house that every time they were on the other side of the fence, we'd race down the stairs, get them a treat, throw it in the yard, and lift the fence. They were like, wow, good job, chickens. We've got this under control. These people are giving us a treat. And then I caught on to being tricked. And I taught them to get their own selves back in the yard if they wanted a treat. And now I can just call them. I don't try to speak chicken or turn them into a person or manipulate their behavior. I enjoy their behavior. I want to make it more interesting and more fun. I want to tell you, though, my heart is in those chickens because yesterday, the chickens were in the neighbor's yard, which might be a halfway house, and they were chickens are a little gay this time of year. I don't know what else to say when they don't have a boyfriend. So they're doing their thing in the neighbor's yard, as usual, and I see a dog. And I was like, oh. And I hear, brrr, very alarm chicken noises. And I was like, oh, here we go. The night before I'm preaching about my chickens, a dog's going to eat one right in front of me. Great. And so I calmed down and I called them, and they are now trained, and they ran to the fence, and they came in, and I did my count to 7, because there's 7, and there were only 6. And I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'll be fine. So I look around for the dog. I look around for the chicken. And I have long stairs up the back, and I walk up the stairs very slowly, hoping that the chicken is up there in this little box that they like. And I walk up the stairs, and my heart is beating like a mile a minute. And I bent down, and I looked around, and she went, what? Bob? She was there. Oh, I didn't know how attached I was to them till last night. Oh my gosh, it's gone from this, I'm a farmer and I have some chickens and this is what I do, to these are my pets, my beloved pets. Marge just told me how good their eggs taste. Well, it's probably because they had cabbage and popcorn for a snack last night. And if you don't think feeding chickens a pile of spaghetti will bring you joy, you are wrong. Especially when the dog gets in the middle. And the cats. And so we have this strange little ecosystem in our backyard where the cats and the dogs and the chickens, and they all hang out. And my mom shakes her head because she said, I've always kind of been like that. And it's like my little garden of beloved community. It's like raising the animals like chickens and farm animals is like gardening little personalities. And if that doesn't bring me closer to the wonder of nature and science, I don't know what's gonna. I don't know if it's sacred, but it's pretty special to see the sunrise every morning. And it's pretty special to watch the moon and know when it's new and when it's full so that you can see the stars. And it's pretty special when your chicken decides it's not a chicken but a rooster anymore, to be smart enough not to panic and to look it up online, because sometimes chickens just change like people do. And we can adapt our behavior to that too, because beloved community can be so much. So go hug a cat or a chicken or a tree or whatever you'd like, but appreciate nature. Go outside. Be witness to the amazement of the dogwoods that will be coming in the next week. Please. They're beautiful. And when we get in touch with that beauty, we get in touch with what's sacred in our heart, and we can make decisions for our environment based on our love and our values and our morals. May it be so, and blessed be. The offertory. If you like sermons like this and other you like to pay people to talk about chickens? No. This is such a special place, and the offering goes to so many things. One of the things that I have just been really enjoying is watching the church just wake back up and seeing all of you here. We want more programs and more things to go on, and it takes treasure to make that happen. Some of us have more treasure than others. Please be generous if you do. If you don't have treasure or it's your first day here, let that plate just pass you by. But if you feel moved to contribute to a community that we can learn amazing things about science and religion at the same minute, please donate generously. Thank you all so much for your generosity. Please join me in the offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. Please rise in body and or spirit and join us at home and here in 1074, Turn the World Around. Not quite the chicken dance, but a good dance song nonetheless.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa, so is life, abati. Whoa, so is life. Whoa, so is life, abati. Whoa, so is life. Water make the river wash the mountain. Fire make the sunlight, turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain. Spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, truly of the Spirit. Only can the Spirit turn the world around. Whoa, so is life, abati. Whoa, so is life. Whoa, so is life, abati. Whoa, so is life. Whoa, so is life, abati. Whoa, so is life. Whoa, so is life, abati. Whoa, so is life.
Please be seated. So what? So what is the difference between a naturalist and a religious naturalist? Taking something to heart means your heart can be broken. You can experience moral outrage when that which is revered is desecrated. It's time to pay attention. It's time to be grateful. We live in one of the most biodiverse areas anywhere in the Appalachians. This is an amazing place. What do you say? You say anywhere? I see these two high-fiving. I hear y'all when you talk. This is a sacred place that deserves to be taken care of and cherished. I know this sounds weird, but it was tempting to bring a chicken today. It didn't sound that weird, did it? But, that's kind of rude. You really think a chicken would have a very good time here? I mean, maybe at coffee hour. I don't know. But, after I got over worrying about what it would do on the carpet, I started thinking about the chicken. And really, my chickens have never been anywhere. You think this is a good first experience? Probably not. So when we think about the animals in our lives and the animals around us, remember what they need, not just what we need from them. Be curious this week about nature. Don't pick that flower unless it's invasive. Hug a tree. Leave your light on your porch so moths come and visit you at night. Experience the wonder that is this place where we are so blessed to live in. And I know that's not a word I use a lot, but oh my gosh, this place. So with that, I leave you all with, it's time to put our chalice out. There wasn't even a chicken. You can come to my house if you want to see one. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. Okay, so my announcements are at the very back of my book. I found them. Okay, tonight is pretty cool. I would like to invite y'all to come back around 6 p.m. We're going to have a really wonderful listening circle dealing with our feelings around the Ukraine. There's going to be a special collection, and we are going to have an opportunity to hold a talking stick and have just our own time to say what we need to say. Please consider coming back. I'm going to trust you're coming, and I'm going to make some coffee, okay? So it's actually a cafe. So the first and third, oh, wait, no, I don't want to say this. I want you to come say this. Thank you. Selena, there's a microphone. Woo! I was like about ready to go, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Hello. Oh, thanks. Thanks, sound guys. All right. So thank you for starting out. We're starting a new fellowship opportunity in the middle of the week, just in case, Sunday isn't quite enough for you. Or for those of you where Sunday's difficult to get here as well, on Wednesdays from 10 to 12, on first and third Wednesdays, we're going to have a special coffee time, and we're actually calling it First and Third Wednesday Coffee Time. Yeah. I'm working on my creativity.
Wow.
Anyway, so
amazing.
everybody's welcome. It's all ages. If you've never been to the church before and you want to get to know people a little bit better, this is a good chance to do that. Also, so you can ask questions about how things work. If you've been going here for years but you still don't understand what universalism is, might be a good opportunity too. Oh, that would be me, actually. So anyway, if you want to share that with me, anybody else, that would also be good. But it's not just going to be coffee. It's going to be tea and juice and snacks, including gluten-free things and diabetic-friendly things as well, and just unhealthy stuff too. And it's not just going to be a gathering of people, and it's not just going to be eating and drinking. It's going to be themed and inspired by Reverend Mandy's messages the last few weeks. The first theme will be Lessons from the Garden. So if you have something you want to share, it's a good time to do that. What lessons you've learned from the garden. It will be kind of organized, but it's also a time for discussion and your contribution. So Wednesdays, first and third Wednesdays, 10 to 12. A.M. That's a very good distinction there. Anyway, A.M. and it'll be right here. You don't have to bring anything with you. You can just show up and enjoy. You can, if you want to bring something to share, whether that's food or reading or a drink or something like that, that's great too. But anyway, I really encourage all ages, because as we rebuild our community after the pandemic, we've been looking for ways to get all of our generations together and all of our types of people together. So this is one of those opportunities. So if you can, please join us. Thank you.
Yay. Oh, she's going to have to talk more often. You heard how well she did that? So next Sunday is kind of cool. There are two things happening. At 11 o'clock service, we're welcoming Keith Cron, the minister who works in Boston as the settlement director. He's the one who told me to put Chattanooga back in the pile when I was sorting people out. And he was really instrumental in bringing me here and helping me fall in love with this congregation. So it's going to be super cool that he's here. And he's going to talk about things UUA and how ministry works. And I think it'll be neat. And then that afternoon at 1 is Amanda Schubert's, 2. I'll be here at 1. I gotcha. Wonder why I'm late and miss things. Anyway, at 2 is Amanda Schubert's ordination. Amanda Schubert began as an intern here and worked as our interim director of religious education. Ordination is a really special event. In Unitarian Universalism, it isn't like a lot of really pompous, important people tell you whether you can be a minister or not, but your congregation and the people are who ordain you and make it real. So it's part of our polity. It's part of us as a denomination that the people have the power to ordain. So I really would welcome you to come and RSVP, I assume, and I bet Dady Dady, I see, Talia, would love to know if you're coming. Okay, we are currently assembling Sunday morning greeting and kitchen staff. So Judy created a calendar that's in the kitchen for sign-ups, and for being the first kitchen staff volunteer today, if you'd like to sign up, oh wait, I read that backwards. Oh, okay. Yes, be the first one. If you'd like to sign up or like some more information, and if you're a newcomer, this is weird, but this is the first thing I did to volunteer in a UU church, is when we went to our first church, we volunteered to make coffee. It was so fun. I got to meet everyone, and I felt like I had something to do, and I wasn't just standing around going, what do I do around here? So also, your minister has ordered three aprons that say "Side with Love." So there will be prizes if you're the first 3 to sign up. You can take them home, but you bring them back when you serve coffee the next time. See how that works? So there are prizes, so sign up, and if you sign up probably next week, you'll receive your apron. They're very nice. We are getting ready to start something we're calling a connection campaign, connecting to our belonging in this church. It's going to be like a stewardship campaign. It's going to be like a new way to connect and get signed up for events and groups and what your passions are. Just be mindful that that's coming up, and it's going to have to do with all time, talent, treasure, but mostly it's going to have to do with connecting and belonging and what it means to be members in this church. So keep your ear open for that. And if you're interested in helping with that, come straight to me after church or right now. Because I need more help. We have a great team assembled, but we could always use more people. All right, thank you all so much for coming today. It was such a joy to see you. And I know y'all don't hear this often, but I do have the very best job in the world. I got to talk about chickens and science and religion. Y'all make me so happy and fulfilled. Have a wonderful week.